The music pulsed softly through Stacy's bedroom, bass low and insistent, like a heartbeat she couldn't ignore. Clothes were everywhere, spilled from her closet, draped over the back of her chair, tossed across the bed like discarded possibilities. Stacy Burke thrived in chaos. She said it helped her think. She stood in front of the mirror, phone angled just right, lip gloss half applied. "Okay, but tell me this isn't giving," she said, pouting, then breaking into a grin as she checked her reflection from another angle. "Because if Emma is throwing a mystery party after ghosting us for weeks, I am not showing up underdressed." On the bed behind her, Kiva Kniazev, Kiva, sat cross-legged, slowly fastening a silver chain around her neck. She watched Stacy with mild amusement, her reflection softer, quieter. She'd chosen black, simple, fitted, intentional. Fashion, to Kiva, wasn't about noise. It was about control. "It's definitely giving," Kiva said. "I just don't know what." Stacy laughed, loud and unapologetic. "Excuse you. This is main character energy." Kiva smiled faintly but didn't argue. She rose and moved closer to the mirror, adjusting the sleeve of her top. Her movements were careful, thoughtful, like she was assembling herself piece by piece. Outside, the sky was already darkening, summer night settling in thick and warm. Emma's name sat at the top of Kiva's thoughts, unspoken. Emma Franks didn't disappear. Not like this. She was the quiet constant, the one who always replied, always showed up, even if she hovered at the edges. Weeks of silence from her wasn't normal. And then, out of nowhere, a group chat message. "Emma. Party tonight. Secret location. Trust me." No explanation. No emojis. Just a location pin dropped 20 minutes later. Stacy had immediately screenshotted it. "Okay, but this is either iconic or we're getting murdered," she'd said. "Either way." Content. Kiva checked the time again. "She's late," Kiva said quietly. Stacy waved her off. "Relax. Maybe this is her mysterious era." Kiva didn't respond right away. She picked up her perfume instead, spraying once at her wrist, inhaling deeply. She felt that familiar tightening in her chest, the feeling that came when something was about to shift, and she didn't know if she was ready for it. Graduation had ended things too cleanly. No drama. No rupture. Just silence stretching wider each day. Emma was never late. Stacy finally noticed the clock, then the way Kiva's fingers stilled against her wrist. "Okay, yeah. That part's weird," she admitted. "But you don't just drop a secret location party and then flake. That's illegal." Kiva crossed her arms. "What if something's wrong?" Stacy scoffed, but it sounded thinner than usual. "Emma doesn't do wrong. She does quiet." As if summoned by the tension, headlights swept across the wall. A car door slammed below. Both girls froze. Stacy grinned first. "See? Mystery girl delivers." Headlights cut sharply across the front of the house, bright, confident, impossible to ignore. Kiva looked up first. The car rolling to the curb wasn't Emma's. It was sleek, low, glossy black, engine purring like it knew it was being watched. Stacy let out a slow whistle. She said. "Since when does Emma drive that?" The driver's door opened. Emma stepped out, and for a second, neither of them spoke. She was unrecognizable. Gone were the soft colors, the safe silhouettes, the way she used to dress like she was trying not to take up space. Tonight she wore black leather that hugged her like it belonged there, boots that clicked against the pavement, a spiked choker tight around her throat. Her hair was a little messier, pink around the edges, like she'd stopped trying to tame it. And she was smiling. Not the small, polite curve they knew. This one was open, easy, almost dangerous. like she was in on a secret and enjoying the hell out of it. "Well," Emma said, leaning casually against the car door. "You two just gonna stare, or are you getting in?" Stacy blinked. Once. Twice. "Okay," she said slowly, stepping closer as if Emma might disappear if she moved too fast. "Who are you, and what have you done with our Emma?" Emma laughed, actually laughed, and it was warm, unrestrained, nothing like the quiet sound she used to tuck away. "Relax. I just upgraded." Kiva's chest tightened. She searched Emma's face for something familiar, some trace of the girl who used to linger at the edges of rooms. What she found instead was confidence, raw and unapologetic, worn like a second skin. "You look," Kiva started, then stopped, unsure which word wouldn't sound like fear. Emma's eyes flicked to her, sharp but kind. "Different?" "Yes," Kiva admitted. "Good." Emma pushed off the car and tossed the keys once in her hand. Different was the point. Stacy circled her like she was a mirror ball. "I mean, I support a glow-up, but this is less glow and more rebirth." Emma grinned wider. "Told you it was a party." She slid back into the driver's seat, completely at ease, like she'd always belonged behind that wheel. When Kiva and Stacy climbed in, the air felt charged, tight with something new and unfamiliar. As the car pulled away, Kiva couldn't shake the feeling that Emma hadn't just changed clothes. She'd changed direction. And whatever she'd found in the weeks she'd disappeared, she wasn't asking permission to bring it with her. The car purred through the quiet streets, tires humming over asphalt as the city lights thinned behind them. Stacy tapped her fingers on the dashboard, unable to keep still, while Kiva sat rigidly, eyes flicking between Emma and the dark road ahead. "So," Stacy started, unable to contain herself, "where exactly are we going? And by exactly, I mean, like, what even is this place?" Emma didn't answer right away. She kept her eyes on the road, one hand draped casually over the wheel, the other drumming a slow rhythm on her thigh. Her smile was all calm confidence, that same smug curl that made them both pause. "Somewhere fun," she said finally, deliberately vague. Kiva frowned. "Fun how? Like a rooftop? A club? Or are we breaking into someone's backyard?" Emma tilted her head, letting the streetlights catch the edges of her leather. "Depends on your definition of fun. You'll see." Stacy groaned, leaning back. "You're literally impossible." "Spill." Emma laughed softly, a sound both warm and teasing. "Fine. My boyfriend's doing a show tonight. His band. It's a private thing. Exclusive." Kiva blinked. "Wait. Boyfriend? Band? You have a boyfriend?" Emma shrugged, fingers still light on the wheel. "Apparently I do." She grinned at them through the rearview mirror, playful and untouchable. "And yes, he's talented, yes, it's a show, and no, you're not getting more details." Stacy laughed in disbelief, almost spilling her drink. Wait, hold up. When did this happen?" "The quiet, invisible Emma has a boyfriend in a band and is throwing secret parties." Emma's eyes twinkled. "Weeks ago, apparently. You two just didn't notice." Kiva opened her mouth, then closed it. She glanced at Stacy, who shrugged helplessly, both of them thrown. Emma had always been soft edges and careful boundaries. Now she was sharp, confident, untouchable. "You're enjoying this way too much," Kiva said, half warning, half awe. Emma smirked, leaning back just slightly. "Enjoying what?" "The mystery. The chaos. You'll find out soon enough." The car sped on, cutting through dark streets that promised adventure, and for the first time in weeks, Kiva felt that familiar pull, the one that whispered that tonight, nothing would be normal again. Stacy snorted. I feel like we're walking into some movie and you're the villain. Emma laughed again, low and easy. Or the heroine. Depends who's watching. And with that, the black car glided into the night, leaving the familiar world behind, carrying three girls towards something neither of them could have imagined. They pull up to an old barn. It was old, semi-broken down. It was creepy, but then music could be heard. Lights flashed from the holes in the roof and Emma exited the car. Both Kiva and Stacy looked confused, perplexed but intrigued, and followed Emma. The bass thudded through the barn, vibrating up through the soles of Kiva's boots and straight into her chest. Lights strobed overhead, casting the crowd in flashes of color and shadow, and still she couldn't shake the feeling that they'd stepped into someone else's life by mistake. Stacy leaned in close, shouting over the noise. I feel like we missed an entire season of Emma's life. Kiva nodded, eyes tracking Emma as she moved easily through the crowd, laughing, touching shoulders, exchanging looks with people who greeted her like she belonged here. Like she'd always belonged here. It unsettled her more than the barn, more than the music, more than the fact that none of this made sense. This isn't just a party, Kiva said quietly. This is a world. Before Stacy could reply, Emma reappeared, weaving toward them with that same reckless smile. She didn't look back to see if they were following, she knew they would. Come on, Emma said, already moving. I want you to meet someone. Stacy shot Kiva a look. Here it is. They stopped near the makeshift stage, where amps and cables were stacked with careless precision. A man stood there adjusting a guitar strap, dark hair falling into his eyes, leather jacket hanging off him like a second skin. He looked up, and the way Emma's face lit up was immediate, unguarded. She went to him without hesitation. Jess's arm slid around her waist like it had done so 1,000 times before, pulling her in close. Their foreheads touched briefly, private even in public, and when he smiled at her it wasn't soft, it was intense, consuming, like the rest of the room had dropped away. Hey, he murmured. Emma grinned. Hey yourself. Kiva felt it then, the shift. The gravity between them. This wasn't new. This was established, lived in, charged. Emma turned back, still tucked into Jess's side. Okay. This is Jesse. My boyfriend. Stacy's mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. Hi, she said faintly. Wow. Hi. Jess's gaze flicked to them, assessing but amused. You must be the famous friends, he said, voice low, rough around the edges. Emma talks about you. Kiva wasn't sure if that was comforting or alarming. Before she could respond, another figure stepped forward, a stark contrast to the chaos around them. He was tall, impeccably dressed in a dark suit that looked absurd in a barn rave and yet somehow right. His posture was relaxed, his expression pleasant, eyes calm and observant. I am Eva, he said smoothly, inclining his head in a small, polite bow. His accent carried a refined lilt, his words carefully chosen. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Stacy stared. Are you real? Eva smiled, unoffended. I am told I am, yes. Kiva blinked, caught off guard by the warmth in his gaze, the way he seemed entirely unhurried, untouched by the noise. Nice to meet you, she said, finding her voice. Jesse smirked. He does that. Freaks people out. Emma laughed, leaning back into Jesse, her hand sliding effortlessly into his. They're about to play, she said, eyes shining. You should stay close. Jesse glanced toward the stage, focus sharpening. Yeah. We're up in a minute. As he stepped away to join the rest of the band, Emma watched him go with open affection, like she wasn't trying to hide it anymore. Not from anyone. Kiva felt a strange pull in her chest, excitement tangled with unease. Emma wasn't lost. She'd been found. And standing there between Jess's dark intensity and Eva's unsettling calm, Kiva couldn't tell which was more dangerous, or which one had changed Emma the most. The first chord hit like a detonation. The barn erupted, cheers, movement, bodies pressing forward as Jesse and his band took the stage. Lights snapped on in violent bursts of color, washing the crowd in red and blue. Jesse stepped up to the mic, guitar slung low, eyes dark and focused, a different kind of presence now, commanding, dangerous, alive. Emma watched him like the rest of the world had narrowed down to one point. That was when Stacy grabbed her wrist. "Nope," Stacy said sharply, already pulling her back through the crowd. Not tonight. Not after this." Kiva moved in sync, flanking Emma on the other side. Between the two of them, Emma didn't stand a chance. They guided, dragged, her away from the stage, past dancing bodies and flickering lights, until the music dulled just enough to breathe. "Guys," Emma protested, laughing, trying to pull free. "You're missing the best part." Stacy spun on her, eyes wide and blazing. "Oh, we're missing everything. You vanish for weeks, reappear in leather with a rock star boyfriend and a Victorian sidekick, and you think we're just vibing." Kiva crossed her arms, quieter but no less intense. "Emma. Talk. Now." For a moment, Emma just looked at them. Really looked. Her smile softened, not defensive, not apologetic. Just knowing. "Why are you interrogating me like I committed a crime?" she asked lightly. "Because you basically did," Stacy shot back. "Against our sanity." Emma sighed, leaning against a wooden beam, the bass thrumming through it into her spine. "I didn't disappear. I just stepped sideways." Kiva frowned. "Into what?" Emma tilted her head, considering. "Something different." "That's not an answer," Kiva said. "It's the only one I'm giving." Stacy scoffed. "Okay, mysterious. How did you even meet Jesse?" Emma's lips curved. "By accident." "Where?" Stacy pressed. Emma shrugged. "Out." "When?" Kiva asked. "A while ago." Stacy threw her hands up. "You're doing it on purpose." Emma grinned. "Maybe." Kiva studied her, the ease in her posture, the confidence threaded through every movement. This wasn't a phase stitched together overnight. This was lived in. "Where have you been all this time?" Kiva asked quietly. That made Emma pause. Just for a second. Her smile didn't disappear, but it changed, something deeper flickered behind it. "Learning," she said. "Listening. Letting myself be loud." Stacy searched her face. "Are you okay?" Emma met her gaze, steady and sure. "I've never been better." From the stage, Jess's voice cut through the barn, raw, electric, pulling the crowd with him. Emma's attention drifted instinctively toward the sound, like a tide. Kiva noticed. "So this is it?" she asked. "This is who you are now?" Emma looked back at them, eyes bright, unapologetic. "This is who I've been. I just stopped hiding it." Another surge of cheers shook the barn. Emma pushed off the beam, smiling again, lighter now. "You don't have to understand," she said gently. "Just, don't try to pull me backward." She slipped from between them, already moving toward the music. Stacy watched her go, shaken. "I don't know whether to be impressed or terrified." Kiva didn't answer. Her eyes stayed on Emma, on the girl who had once faded into the background, now walking straight into the light without looking back. Whatever Emma had found, it wasn't temporary. And whatever was coming next, none of them were ready for it. Stacy stood frozen near the edge of the crowd, arms crossed tight, eyes tracking Emma as she disappeared back toward the stage. The music thundered through the barn, Jess's voice tearing through the speakers, the crowd fully surrendered, but Stacy wasn't in it anymore. She didn't answer anything, she muttered, mostly to herself. She just evolved without us. Kiva hovered nearby, distracted, thoughtful, but before she could respond, a calm presence entered Stacy's orbit. I hope I am not interrupting, a smooth voice said. Stacy turned, and nearly jumped. Ivor stood there, impeccably composed despite the chaos around him. The strobe lights flickered across his tailored suit, catching the clean lines, the quiet confidence in his posture. He looked like he'd stepped out of another century and wandered into a rave by mistake, and decided to stay. Jesus, Stacy laughed, a little breathless. You can't just appear like that. I beg your pardon, Ivor said, smiling gently. I shall endeavor to announce myself more dramatically next time. She blinked. You're really something. So I've been told. His gaze was warm, curious, entirely unthreatening. You appear distressed. Stacy scoffed. Is it that obvious? To me, yes. He inclined his head slightly. You carry yourself loudly, but your thoughts are elsewhere. That stopped her. Before she could recover, he extended a hand, palm up, patient, assured. Would you care to dance? He asked. I find motion helps when the mind is unsettled. Stacy stared at his hand, then up at his face. You're asking me to dance. Like, properly? If you prefer improperly, I am flexible, he replied smoothly. But I assure you, my intentions are honorable. She laughed despite herself. You talk like you walked out of a Jane Austen novel. His smile deepened. A common accusation. An unfair one. The music swelled, bass rolling through the floor, bodies moving all around them. Stacy hesitated, then, with a shrug that was more nerves than indifference, she placed her hand in his. Okay, suit guy, she said. Surprise me. He led her into the crowd with effortless grace, one hand light at her waist, the other steady in hers. He didn't pull her close, didn't crowd her space, just guided, attentive, responsive. It was disarming. Infuriatingly so. You're not staring at me, she noted, raising an eyebrow. Most guys stare. I prefer conversation, he said. And rhythm. She snorted. You're weird. Thank you. As they moved, Stacy felt herself relax, just a fraction. The noise faded to background. For once, she wasn't performing, wasn't thinking about angles or attention or who was watching. You're not what I expected, she admitted. Neither are you, Ivor replied softly. Yet here we are. Stacy forgot the room existed. The music folded around her, deep and pulsing, and somehow Ivor moved with it as if he'd been waiting his whole life for this exact rhythm. His hand rested lightly at her waist, never possessive, never careless, and when she laughed, surprised at herself, he smiled like that had been the intention all along. You're enjoying this, she accused, breathless. Immensely, he replied. You are far more at ease when you cease performing. She scoffed. You don't even know me. I know enough, he said gently, guiding her through the crowd. The rest can wait. For once, Stacy let it. Across the barn, Kiva noticed them, Stacy laughing, genuinely laughing, with the strangest man in the room. And for the first time that night, something loosened in her chest. The night wasn't just changing Emma. It was working its way through all of them, one unexpected connection at a time. Across the barn, Kiva felt the music seep into her bones. The bass was steady, insistent, coaxing her out of her head and into her body. She closed her eyes, swayed, then moved, tentative at first, then freer, looser. The lights caught in her hair, on her skin, and for a moment she forgot about questions, about Emma, about what came next. That was when she felt it. A gaze. She opened her eyes. He stood near the far wall, half in shadow, leaning back like he had nowhere else to be. Tall, impossibly so, with silver-white hair that caught the light like a blade. His eyes were a clear, arresting blue, irises bright against the dark. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. He just watched. Kiva's breath caught. She danced anyway, slower now, aware, letting the movement answer the look. His head tilted, the barest acknowledgement, and something passed between them without a word. A question. An invitation. Then he pushed off the wall and crossed the room. Up close, he was even more unsettling, beautiful in a way that felt deliberate, restrained. He stopped in front of her, close enough to be heard without shouting. "Dance," he said. Not a request. Kiva lifted a brow. "That's it." His mouth curved slightly. "For now." She hesitated only a second before nodding. He placed a hand at her back, sure and steady, and they moved together, no rush, no wasted motion. He didn't talk. He didn't need to. His attention was complete, consuming, like the rest of the world had dimmed around them. "What's your name?" she asked, leaning in. He met her gaze. Later. It should have annoyed her. It didn't. The song slowed, the beat sinking low and heavy, and the silver-haired man's hand stilled at Kiva's back. For the first time since he'd approached her, he leaned close enough that his breath brushed her ear. "You should leave," he said quietly. Kiva pulled back, startled. "What?" His blue eyes searched her face, serious now, stripped of flirtation. "Take your friend," he added, his gaze flicking briefly toward Stacy across the floor. "The loud one. Go." Her pulse quickened. "Why?" "This is not a good group to be near," he said, voice calm but edged with something darker. "Not tonight." Kiva swallowed, a chill crawling up her spine. "And you are?" His mouth curved, not quite a smile. "Someone who knows when a door is about to close." The music swelled again, bodies pressing in, and when she blinked, he was already stepping back into the shadows, silver hair catching the light one last time. Kiva stood frozen, heart racing, eyes snapping instinctively to Stacy. For the first time that night, the barn didn't feel thrilling. It felt dangerous. On the stage, the song wound down to thunderous applause. Jesse stepped back from the mic, breath heavy, sweat darkening his collar. Emma was already there when he hopped down, her arms sliding around his neck like they'd been waiting. "You killed it," she said, smiling up at him. "I always do." He kissed her, quick, intense, then glanced out over the barn. "Your friends look occupied." Emma followed his gaze, Stacy laughing with evil, unguarded, Kiva moving with a man she didn't recognize, silver hair catching the strobe. "They're finding their feet," Emma said lightly. Jesse hummed. "Careful. This place has a way of changing people." Emma's smile lingered, but her eyes sharpened. "That's kind of the point." He leaned in, voice low. "Dinner soon." "Pooh," she said with a playful pout. His hand tightened briefly at her waist. "It is almost time." Emma looked back at the dance floor, at the girls she'd brought here, and for just a heartbeat something unreadable passed over her face, anticipation, maybe. Or hunger. "Good," she said softly. "I'm starving." The lights flared again, the music surged, and the barn swallowed them all, threads crossing, paths bending, each of them stepping closer to something they couldn't yet name.
To be.